Guitar Heroes. Okay, today we're going to be working on the A chord form for bar chords. So let's take a look at our standard A chord, and it can be played in a couple of different ways. But generally you're going to have these three strings pushed down. So the simplest way to do the bar chord is just to use one finger. So in this case, we're probably going to be using our third finger. We just want to get the A string, which is the first one that's open, but we don't play the big E. That's why I got my thumb up here. Right? So that's probably what we want right there. Okay, well, once you have that down, there's really a couple ways to practice this, because it's not going to be easy when you first start it. So first you want to get this finger to be able to play this cleanly. So we want to get it up pretty close, as close as you can without getting on top of the fret. That's why it's nice and clean. And then you want to practice with just this one finger. Just slide it around. Now you're going to have to press down pretty hard, so your thumb is going to be pushing on the back here so that you can get pressure on that string. So take a look at the positions. The thumb is obviously up a little bit from that, but you're going to have to keep pressure on that to be able to get that thing clean. If you don't have any pressure, then you're likely to have something like that. But with that thumb back there for adding a little pressure. So the first thing you want to probably do for maybe a week, practice it 2 or 3 times for a week. And once you get that clean, once you get that part, well, now the second part of it, hey, I need to use this finger for a bar chord. Okay, so I'm going to lay that across. And in this case, with an A form bar chord, like I said, we don't really want the big E. We want that muted, or we don't want to hit it, one of the two. So the bar is going to be laid then across those 5 strings, but we don't really have to worry about this one because a lot of times it's going to be muted, the high E, so don't worry about that. We just get those 4, we're going to be in good shape. So what do we do to get this thing clean? Well, first of all, we want to make sure that we've got it close to the fret but not on top of it. And we want to roll it a little bit to the right if we can, because we get on the bony side, so to speak, of your finger rather than on the flat side. So we want to roll it just a little bit. And then you want to practice the same thing. And once you get that finger strength, and it's probably going to take more than a week. Maybe it's going to take a couple of weeks to practice, maybe a month to be able to practice getting that third finger. And then with the first finger. Once those 2 fingers have the strength, then you're ready to take the next step, which is to put them together. Okay, so we're going to get that third finger down here, and we're not going to hit the big E, and then we got the A string is open. So what am I covering? The D, the G, and the B. So if we're going to take our third finger and then we're going to slide up. So let's just slide up to the 7th fret. We can lay so we're kind of in the middle of the neck. We're going to lay our bar down, and here's where you have to kind of make a decision about how you want to position this bar finger. You need it to touch the E string, but you want it muted. So we don't want that. We really want it, and because your root note is the A string, that's the string that we want to hear ring out. So you got a couple of things to do. If you said, well, geez, I have a hard time just putting it right here. And I have the same issue because with an E form bar chord, you cover that one, right? So either you change your string position and move it down one, but have the tip on the E string to mute it, or you're going to have it on top of it but not hit it. Those are your two choices. Or I'm going to have it down here just muted. Either one of those two work, and I've had I don't like to really move my finger from the E to the A, so I leave it the same, and I just try to hit the 5th string on down. So that's basically, kind of the way to get to be able to do this. It's not easy. It's like I said, it's going to take probably a month of practice, a week or so of the first finger and a week or so of the second finger, put them together, and because they have to get some strength, and you have to be, keep your pressure with your thumb on the back. Okay, so once we think, okay, now I can start playing it because my fingers are strong enough, now we want to learn, well, what chords are we actually playing here? Okay, well, we know that we're in this first position with my finger down. We're playing an open A. Well, guess what? It is an A. Now we're going to use the A string, the 2nd string here. We're going to use that to determine what the chord's going to be. Just like we do with an E form, we use the big E string to determine what the chord is going to be. So in this case, if we start with our A and we move up to the 3rd fret here, typically it's got a dot or it's got some kind of indicator in here to go up to the 3rd one. What's this string? Well, we got A, an A sharp, and then we got a B. A, or A, or A sharp, B, and the next one's a C. And then if we go up 2 more to make it easy, D, and 2 more, it's an E, 1 more, it's an F. So what are the ones that we're normally going to play? Well, it's going to be your C. It's going to be a D. It's going to be an E. Those are the most common chords that you're going to use. Now every once in a while you might do a B flat and a B and a C. But generally speaking, if you start with the easier ones, of course, if you get closer to the nut down here, it's harder to hold the strings down with your bar. So if you started down here at the 5th fret, we know that's a D, and we drop down to the 3rd fret, we know that is a C. We go down 1 more, B flat and A. And then we go up to the 7th fret, we got an E. D at the 5th and 3rd fret C. And back to an A. So the chords that are in certain keys are going to make it sound right. So in the key of A, we got a D. Key of E, we have a B and we have an A. But these chords normally will sound good together. The A, the C, the D, and the E. E at the 7th, D at the 5th, C at the 3rd, and then A basically open. So those are the ones that I'd start practicing with. Obviously, B flat and B's you're going to come up with. But not as often. So I would start with those. Get your A in there, a C, D, E, B, C. Okay, so those are just some rhythm patterns that you can try, and it's going to take, again, it's going to take a while. So maybe in a couple of months, you know, things are going well for you and your fingers, you work up that muscle memory, you know, you should be in pretty good shape then, and then start substituting these bar chords for open chords. So let's say if you're playing in a song and you're going to play a G, but then the C comes up. Well, rather than going to a normal C, throw that bar chord in there, and then maybe the next one that comes up is a D. Well, throw this bar chord in there instead. So as you had a G, C, D, C, back to that G. So there's just a way to kind of start working those bar chords in. So there you go. That's the A form bar chord. And basically, you know, you can emulate almost any chord that you want, any open chord. Of course, as you get up here, E, F, this is one more, G is two more up. It gets a little bit hard. A is way at the top. Really hard to play that A. But that's C, B, C, D, and E, you're going to be playing all the time with bar chords. So I hope you got something out of this lesson. Obviously, this is an introductory lesson on this, but I think there's plenty of information in here to maybe take you a long ways into developing your A chord form bar chord. So I hope you got something out of the lesson. Thanks a lot for watching, and happy practicing. We'll see you next time.